All right, welcome back. Happy Monday. What
Happy Monday.
what are we talking about today? Cool. Good start. Off to a good start.
Media and the effects of it.
We're going to talk about some of the negative effects.
And how to turn it around.
Before we start, I just want to point out that when we went to sleep, there was like a foot of snow outside. And when we woke up, it's like 50 degrees and there's not a lot of snow outside.
Yeah, it's weird.
So welcome to New Hampshire. Some seriously messed up weather lately.
Yep. And it's like warm out today.
So yeah, negative effects of social media, I guess, and what do we want? Where do we want to go with it? I'm just pulling up my notes, so that's why I'm jumping on.
Well, I mean, it started from a personal experience that I hear from people in the industry. Just like you get off social media or you see a post or you're click down your app and you're like, why do I feel so like irritated? And it's easy for especially people out there that are trying to coach and mentor, they have a target audience. So when you feel like they're speaking to you, they're trying to speak to you. And some are trying to lift you up, but some are trying to get a negative response to you because that's generally what drives people to stay on their page longer. And so I was saying to Todd, I think it's important to talk about Todd. If you're coming, yes, explaining to you that it's important if you're coming off of social media and you're feeling irritated, how do we help you turn that around? And if you're fired up, why? And then what can you do to almost turn it into getting you to be inspired to either change or do better or learn more or something that can help you take that feeling and make something great out of it?
All right, let's do some like role playing. Give me an example. You're somebody that I coach or somebody that I'm helping or one of our staff or whatever, right? That can all be the same thing, actually. What is your issue? What happened? What did you see? You just negativity in general? Like what? Do you have anything
recently
specific?
It was somebody that I knew and she felt that another stylist was attacking her work. Now, whether that person was or was not, she doesn't know. But she took it personal and obviously her feelings were hurt. And I felt like when she reached out to me, just kind of like this is mean. It hurts my feelings. And I could feel we were just through a text and then we talked about it later. Like she felt down and I'm like, okay, this is not okay. So my first response was like, don't let that get to you. It doesn't matter. Like in the big scheme of things, like you are kicking ass. You're so talented. And I let it there. And then I'm like, no, hold on. I went back and I was like, listen, actually, if it is towards you or if it's not, either way, somewhere it resonated with you. So this is where you get inspired, get fired up. Like maybe you need to post more of your work on your social media. Maybe you need to take a class to feel more confident about the work you're putting out there, but use it as fuel to do good things and use your Instagram platform to show all the good things you're doing.
Yeah. So you sort of gave an example and then gave the answer. So next.
Oops.
That's okay. Totally fine. No, that probably helped people.
That's what I did, right?
So one of the things I would say, yeah, that is what you do. I was cutting up a podcast the other day and it was me and I was like, oh, I'm going to make a good point. And you swept right in there and dropped the exact dollar figure because you knew it. And I'm like, really, Jen? Anyway, so for anybody listening that's met Jen knows that's just Jen.
Yeah.
So if Jen can steal the show, she's going to steal the show.
Tasmania me.
See, I was about to talk and she jumped in. I'm just kidding.
Stop it.
So I think one of the problems with there's a lot of problems with social media and there's a lot of benefit to social media. The biggest problem I see is that most people that are affected by social media are just consuming. They're not creating. So why are you even on it? So like these people, do they post very much? I already know the answer.
Right. No,
never, ever. Does this person post? So what are they doing on Instagram? Looking for abuse? Like, why are you on there?
That was my other piece of advice was I'm like, I would unfollow the person you feel is targeting you because they don't serve you any good in your life. Like, why are you even watching their stuff? Like,
Yeah.
That's where you have the power.
Yeah, for sure. That would probably be the second thing. But the first thing I would say is that if you're not on social media creating anything at all, and I'm talking, it could be as simple as you're just posting your work, right? That's creating. Right. You're putting your work out there to showcase it, or you're putting your personality out there, or you want to create something like we, do the show and then put that out there, or you're creating some sort of humor, art, or whatever, right? Videos. If you're not doing that, get the fuck off. It's wasting your time. You're just consuming it. It's
Go
like
read a book.
Yeah, or just do anything else.
Yeah.
Right? Just go be productive. The only stuff that's on there is other people's stuff. So yeah, of course you're going to see opinions. The other thing is too, you might have to do a little reflecting on yourself, because we love to think that everyone's talking to us.
Right.
We love to think that these people are thinking about me all the time. I promise they're not. I'm not, and I'm a different person. You know what I mean? Like, not everyone is thinking about you. And if they are, like you said, go and follow them. Who cares? Like, why are you even following the people if I don't know. And then there's the whole putting value in other people's opinion. That's like a whole other topic.
Right.
I don't do that. So it's easy for me to say, like, when people are like, did you see this post? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
And they're like, you really didn't see it? I'm like, no, I don't even know. Sometimes people will say, hey, did you see what so-and-so posted? And I'm like, no, I don't even know what that person that you just brought up looks like. I don't know them. I don't follow them. I don't put myself in those situations where I could be affected by social media. I do sometimes consume on social media. Like, I've been known to watch YouTube shorts, and I just kind of fly through them, and it's funny to me. So it's entertainment. Like, I look at it as a form of entertainment. I don't follow anybody that has any sort of potential to have any sort of like power or influence over my mood, unless it's to make me laugh. That's generally what I'm looking for. Or to find cool shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, to find cool stuff, or to check out cool stuff, or to, I guess, just, it all comes back to entertainment. So if you're not on there creating and you're not using it as entertainment, then I don't know why even you would have it on your phone.
Maybe ask yourself, what are you using it for? And why are you going on there?
Yeah, because people aren't going to change. So if that person is posting at you, first of all, they've got no spine, because that's a coward move. Like, you are not calling someone out, but you kind of are trying to. I guess you're hoping they'll see it and then watch it and then take the time to put it together in their head that you've offended them. I mean, somehow, but you didn't really, because you didn't say it at the person. So first thing I would say is, if you're out there listening and you're like a passive aggressive cyber bully or whatever, get some help. Get some fucking help, because
no one has time for that.
No, that's tacky. It's tacky.
Yeah.
And I mean, the industry is full of that. All industries are. You're going to have the people that are just sort of doing good work and going through and trying to leave a positive impact. And you're going to have the people that are trying to pull those people down.
Right.
That's before social media. It'll be after social media. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
So that's my rant.
2 cents.
That's my 2 cents. Do you have any other examples? You brought up one about boundaries.
Yes. So the other thing that I always try to take for me inspiration from stuff I hear at our salon or when I'm out. So the other thing that kind of had come up recently was it was actually at one of our staff members, and her client had come in, and it was
at
like a late appointment.
Was this a post?
So we were talking about, it leads to the post. So basically you see all these posts from,
gotcha. I remember. Go ahead. Sorry.
About boundaries, right? Like, don't text me, don't do this, have boundaries, set boundaries, blah, blah, blah. So I think those posts are great, whoever they're talking to, but what's happening is they're trickling into all clients, right? So I think there are even I have clients. I don't mind if they text me. I have my text off, so I don't see their text when they come in. When I choose to look at my text, I choose to see the texts. Blah blah blah.
Right.
And that's how I set up my boundaries so that it doesn't impede on my life. Whatever. So, but if someone does text me like, I'm so sorry, I'm like, you don't have to be sorry. Just tell me what you need. Like, let's just figure it out. So these posts about boundaries are now, I feel like, negatively impacting these clients, which we are customer service. And now they feel like they're like bothering us when, I mean, whatever your protocol is for how people book appointments, then if they did text, you could just say, hey, you can go through my online, you can call the salon. Like, I don't think it needs to be this big thing of like they're pissing you off left and right, or you'll have no clients. So this client had come in and she was a color and like 5 o'clock appointment. And when she came into the salon, she had said to the stylist, like, oh, I had the whole day off. And the stylist like, you should have texted me. I totally could have taken you earlier or called the salon. And she's like, I didn't want to bother you. Like, I see all those posts about like boundaries and it's negative if a client reaches out. So I don't want to be that pain in the ass client. So I'll just come in at the time I originally scheduled. And this stylist perfectly handled it and was like, in the future, if you don't want to reach out to me directly, you could call the salon and just check in. It is no bother. Like, I don't have a problem if you check in. If it can happen, we'll make it happen. And if it can't, we won't. But it's not like you're not a pain in the ass client because you're trying to make your life easier that day. Do you know what I mean?
I do, because you nailed it. We're in a service industry.
Yeah. And I feel
it's all about customer service.
Like, and you're bothering us.
Lately, over the past few years, what I've seen is the online coaching community that's like, it's not fair for us and you're impeding on our time and whatever. Boundaries doesn't necessarily mean the same thing for one person as it does for another. Mm-hmm. I think that was a botched sentence there. That didn't make sense, but I'm pretty sure
I totally followed it.
I'm pretty sure people will follow it. So you might be the type of person that is like, I go home on Friday and then on Monday, I'll get back to my messages. Good for you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I personally am somewhere in the middle. You are on the other end where
yes,
to the outside person, it would look like, to someone that didn't know you, it would look like you were being a little frantic. And I pick on it at times, but I know that it also brings you some peace knowing that you've taken care of a lot of the things that take 10 minutes of your time totaled up, across the day.
Right.
So responding to a text or responding to an email right away isn't necessarily a negative thing, but we're being told by a lot of people that it is.
Right.
And that's cool that it works for you one way, but it's not going to work for everyone. I guess I already said that. So I mean, I really don't know what else to say about it.
Back to having a mission, core values, and whether you own a salon or you work for yourself or you're working for a salon, like, what do you stand for? What do you want out of your career? And your boundaries, if you have a mission and you know what you stand for and you know what you're putting out there, that will all work for you. And your clients will know that. Like, hey, if you ever text me on a Friday, I always respond by Monday. So as long as they know that, then if they want to reach out, that's an understanding that you have. And that's a policy you have in place. And that's one that they understand when they're working with you, what the outcome is going to be. My clients, I generally do get right back to them. That's just where it goes. And even most of them are like, get back to me whenever. I just tend to, deal with it right then. If I don't, I always forget. And they get lost.
Yeah.
But if you know how you're running your business, then your boundaries would fall into the policy of how you're running that.
Yeah, exactly. And this is going to be different for so for example, if you're an independent stylist, you're in a studio suite or whatever, and you're working by yourself and you have a full day booked, you're not going to be able to get back to stuff right away. So people can call and leave messages or text or whatever, and you might not see it for hours. And that's going to require a different set of solutions as opposed to our setup. So our setup, we don't have a front desk staff by design because we want our staff to be more engaged in building relationships with their clients. So it's not a why am I wasting the money on a front desk staff? It's not we're standing on this hill of anti-desk, front desk people or whatever.
No.
It's none of that. So if you have that, that's great. What I will say is, even though we don't have that, probably 95% of the time, somebody's available to grab the phone, or something and help out. So if a client if a client calls and they're like, hey, can I move my appointment? You don't even really necessarily have to get in touch with the specific stylist. They can just call our salon.
Anybody can help. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you're not crossing any lines by reaching out. Like
No, and you're not inconveniencing anyone. You're asking just to make your life better. And that's what you should feel comfortable doing.
Right.
It's weird that you feel like that's being a pain in the ass.
Yeah. It's like any other service industry. Like if you go to a restaurant and they forget your silverware, you're going to be like, this waitress has boundaries. I'm not going to ask her for anything. I'll wait till she comes back. No, man, I want to eat my burger or whatever. Like I need some silverware. I wouldn't need silverware for a burger, but you know what I mean.
You never know.
Pasta. I don't know. Whatever. Anyways, boundaries and social media and all this stuff. Like, yeah, there's no solution to that because people are going to put out what people are going to put out. And again, probably 90% of it, it's all just monkey see, monkey do. And I'm sorry to keep saying that. I'm actually not sorry. I don't know why I said that. But it's just one person posted their boundaries and how they need to be respected. And another person was like...
And everyone jumped on the train.
Yeah, every single hair pro out there now is like, I need boundaries. And then, so what's the latest one? It's like, oh, I got some new followers. Let me introduce myself. That's what's sweeping across Instagram right now. Yeah. So every hair pro is introducing themselves where, whatever. It's just, if you're going to just copy stuff, like it sort of invalidates it. There's no meaning behind it. There's no intent, Mm-hmm. So like with social media, with setting boundaries, with your mission and your core values and all that stuff, your foundations, if you don't have intent, you don't really have anything anyway. So, I don't know what to tell you.
And if you're like, wow, I never even forever people have had boundaries. You don't necessarily need to put them everywhere. It's how you run your business. If you care to share them, go for it. I would say if you have a policy of like not returning people's calls over the weekend, maybe let people know like, hey, if you need to reschedule or you need to get a hold of me, this is when I do that. So like, don't think I'm ignoring you. I will get back to you. This is how I run my business. Those are great things to share. And if you have a website, it can be on there too. Like wherever you want to put them.
You should have a way to contact you. You should have something in your bio that is a way, like your preferred contact method. And you should be educating your clients on it. If you haven't told them, I don't think it's unreasonable to tell people like, hey, if you really want to reach me, email or DM or whatever your friggin' choice is. I don't care, but tell them. And then I also don't think it's unreasonable to have to like re-educate people. So if a person reaches out on a Saturday night, they might have just remembered and said, oh shoot, I got to get in with Jen. I totally forgot to reach out to her yesterday. I'm going to shoot her a text. And you can say, hey, Lucy, or whatever. Totally cool that you texted me. I'll get back to you Monday when I'm in front of my computer or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then that person now knows that that's how you operate. It's a breakdown in communication. Yeah, it's a breakdown in communication or a lack of understanding how to communicate with people in general that ultimately leads to these issues.
And goes back to the customer service part.
It's like any policy. If you don't know the policy, then you don't know the policy. And then the general public might assume that it's the same as like going back to what they see on social media. They might assume it's the same for every hair pro across the board. And that's just simply not true. We're not all the same. We're very different. We all have very different businesses. That's really it.
I think too, if you are blindly just posting these things because you see it and you're like, oh, everyone's posting this. I need to be posting it.
Don't do that. Stop doing that.
I was going to say, stop. And
I stole your point.
Yeah, that was great.
I know. Been waiting for that.
If it is driving you to think about it, then maybe you need to question, do I need this? Like, do you actually need a policy in place? And do you need to tell it to the world? What is your mission and your core values? And then when you go to create that policy, it all aligns with any other policy you have under your roof, if you're in a salon or a suite or whatever that looks like. But to just blindly be like, oh, they're putting up boundaries that like, you can't talk to me after this much. Like, does that actually work for you? And can you actually follow it? Like, if you're going to put a policy in place, please make sure you can be consistent with 100% of the clients. So if you're not reaching back out to people till Monday, that needs to be for everybody. And if that's not something you can follow, don't put that policy in place because then it looks stupid.
A little touch of anger there.
I can't stand when people have policies that are not consistent. It goes back to the cancellation policy. I know you are not charging every single person who didn't show up. You're only charging the ones that aren't going to give you a hard time and that'll just pay it. Everyone else doesn't have to. And that is an unfair policy. And those ones drive me insane.
Go off.
No, that's all. I think cancellation policies should be per individual depending on the circumstance. But.
So recently I was at, we always look for inspiration in other industries. I was at I think it was going to the eye doctor with our son.
Oh, yeah.
And it's in like this sort of medical complex, which is actually kind of interesting. It's like all medical things in one. It was like a medical food court. Can you picture what I'm saying? Like you go to the mall, you walk into the food court, and one is the eye doctor, one is like blood labs. Like there's all these different things, okay? So I don't remember exactly whose sign it was, but there was a sign that was like, if you are like late to your appointment and we can't take you, you might be charged. And I was like, they worded it in a way that was like, how do you know if I will or not? Like, is it based on what I'm wearing? Is it based on
if loud enough about it?
Yeah, right? If I'm a little bit flirty with you, you know, or compliment you or something, do I get to slide? Like what? Why'd you write might? You know, you should have a policy. And that was a doctor's office. So
yeah, that's crazy.
If they're confused about how to set policies, it's normal that, you know, some people in small business is as well, you know. A couple things to point out with social media. So we were talking about the negative side of social media, and two things popped into my mind. The first one is comparison. I want to talk about that a little. It is really difficult if you're out there comparing yourself to everyone else to do you, to be yourself. Right. Because now you're trying to keep up with or close in on or whatever of some fake target. Does that make sense? You have any thoughts on that or no? Because we can just move on too.
No, I think a lot of people do compare themselves to everyone else, and they're trying to keep up with those people. And now you're doing nothing original, nothing of what?
All right, go ahead. Something was in the background.
It's Marley's headphones. Marley, your headphones clicked off. So you have to mute that. Okay.
All right, go ahead. Comparison.
Isn't there a saying, comparison is like the thief of joy?
Yep.
Is that a saying? I don't know. I think in this industry, a lot of people get down the rabbit hole of comparing themselves to everyone else and doing it in a way that they think the presence of what these people are putting on social media is their true life story.
No.
Which most people, right, which it's not. So social media should be like you said before, it's entertainment, like it's for fun. So people are only putting out there what they want you to see, whether it's their sad life, their happy life, that they look successful, whether they are or they are not. So when you start to try to compare yourself to something on social media, understand that's not real life. So you're comparing yourself to a story or to an idea or to an image that isn't operating majority of the time in what they're showing you. So it's.
I don't know what that. What?
Huh?
You said.
Sorry.
You're comparing yourself to what?
If you're comparing yourself to someone on social media, you're comparing yourself to something that doesn't really exist.
Gotcha.
Right? Like you could see, like if you look at even my family page, it's always, our kids are always happy. Do you think our kids are happy 100% of the time? Hell no. Probably right before I posted that picture, somebody was punching someone in the face or kicking somebody or whatever they were doing. But I just chose not to show that. So I make our kids look like they're amazing little angels. They are not. They're probably little shits most of the time. So if you're going to compare yourself, like, I want to be a mom like Jen, well, it's going to be an epic fail because I'm not showing you how I am as a mom. Like, I'm just showing you my kids smiling. Does that help explain? Like, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
here, I guess.
Gotcha. So the other point that I was going to make, and I think you're going, I I think you're just about to get there, is that there's this illusion of perfection, and people only post their highlight reels. So in the hair industry, for example, all you're seeing is somebody's highlight reels. They're not posting the time they fried someone's hair off.
Right.
They're not posting. Was that specific enough for you? They're not posting.
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
The botched colors that they did. They're not posting those haircuts that someone else had to fix. You know what I mean? Like, they're not posting that stuff. So
keep that in mind when you're comparing yourself.
Right. If you're comparing yourself to them, it's not on an even playing field. And if you're not creating on social media, and you shouldn't be creating to compete with anybody anyways, but if you're not creating and you're there, like I said earlier, just consuming and comparing, it's going to have a negative effect on your mental health. Mm-hmm. You're going to become frustrated. You're going to be down. You're going to be bummed out. And then when that is on your mind, and that's what is the first thing that pops up, when you go back, that's what you're going to see, because we're human beings and we're wired that way. There have been tons of studies on this, but if you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, I don't feel good, this is going to be the worst day, guess what? The odds of you having a bad day just went way up.
Way up. Yep.
Because
that's what you're focusing on.
Yeah, that was your thought process. Mm-hmm. It's like when I had my gym, the people that would come in and immediately go, I can't do this. I'm so stressed out. I'm so nervous. I'm nervous for this part of the workout. I'm nervous for the run. Guess what they struggled with? The fucking run.
Everything. Right.
Yeah, the run. Because they pointed it out as, this is going to be so hard, instead of saying, I'm going to give it my best. I'm going to do my best.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So just do your best, I guess. I don't know what to tell you. I don't have any more specifics.
That's great. Do your best.
Do your best, man. And like, I feel like I'm not disnormal. I feel like I'm fairly normal, but I don't really consume a lot of social media. Like, sometimes I go through and, like, on Instagram, I'll scroll through real quick. And if I see somebody I know, I might give them a like or something. It doesn't even mean I've watched or listened to what they have to say.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just like, oh, I support this person, Yes. And if I'm not on there, like if I follow you and I'm not in your stories or I'm not hitting like on your stuff, it's not because I don't support you either. On the flip side, it's just because I'm not on there looking at social media. Sometimes I have DMs for like days or a week before I even open them, because I'm not like, it's just not how I communicate. Anybody that needs me has my number.
Right.
So that's the way that I communicate. So either way, I would do a little bit of a check on yourself. We can wrap up this episode. I would do a little bit of a check on yourself and ask yourself a few questions. Like, if I'm not creating and posting on social media, do I need to be on it? Mm-hmm. If yes, why? Mm-hmm. Like, what are you looking for on there?
Right.
Or what are you using it for? And then I would ask yourself, since you're here anyways, why not create something? Because it is social media and Instagram, like 2+ years ago, brought us this podcast, because I was putting out random business thoughts into the just universe. Right. And somebody reached out and was like, you should have a podcast. I would listen to it. And I was like, okay. And it gave me the idea for the next thing. And now I don't like, I do post sometimes on social media. Like, I post on our pages, but on my personal page, like my many aprons, but I don't even remember my personal page the last time I posted. Years, I guess. And my other page, I don't even have any posts on. I took them all down because I was like, this isn't what I use it for. And I mostly just post stories on there. That's it.
Yeah.
So that's just how I use it. But I think I have a grasp on it, and I understand how I use it and how I want to use it. And that's actually how I use it. So it doesn't affect me. So, but I would
there's
be careful.
Behind it.
Yeah. Well, there should be intent behind everything. Yeah. And I'm not saying I'm any sort of perfect. I am not. I'm a human being, just like everybody else. I'm just saying, where you can have intent, where you can operate and live your life with intent, you should, in all aspects, not just business, but otherwise you're going to get weighed down.
Right.
Anything else, Jen?
No, I think that was great.
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone. I guess we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.